This is going to be a short little energy check-in. I did mention the other day that the node was changing into Aries, the North Node. I did not talk about the South Node, but of course they move in tandem, and so the South Node's moving into Libra. I'll talk more about that later, but now that we're kind of in the new cycle, the moon has been completely new, and it will continue to wax into full over the next 2 weeks. Astrology aside, well, not astrology aside, astrology considered, there is, eclipse seasons kind of punctuating fall and early summer throughout the year. And these things that we're doing right now are really going to be a part of what we are setting the tone for the next 18 months as we move through, a year and a half of 2 different eclipse cycles and whatnot. So anyway, a lot of exciting things with that. Top of the deck is the 7 of Swords. At the bottom of the deck, I have the 8 of Pentacles. Okay, so continuing to put in work to not skirt around the outsides of our own resistance to changing. So I'm thinking about the frog animal card that I pulled yesterday, clear out the clutter. I feel like a lot of this stuckness has to do with clutter that's inside of our own, not our soul, right? But our adaptations, our ways of living that we've grown into that do not serve us. So these two going together, continuing to put in work to refine that, especially because what we have in the 3-card spread is the 5 of Pentacles, but what's flanking that is the King of Cups and the 2 of Cups. So again, just thinking about, we've had the King of Swords coming out, but with the reading yesterday, there was also the Emperor. The King of Cups was here as well. And I'm thinking about how the King of Swords is more of a cold and detached energy. That's the result of being kind of like all business, not emotive or feeling. And the King of Cups is the antithesis to that. He's like all feeling. He's very open and vulnerable, but also like strong within that. And so the 2 of Cups being harmony and balance. This is that lack mentality. Okay, so whale spirit from yesterday was saying to trust in the great mystery. Continue. Now that I'm seeing Pentacles on either side of the Swords figure, it's like this editing, right? We're editing. Look at your life like a document. If somebody were to watch you, if somebody were to absolutely watch you, and I'm not saying just see you move throughout a day, but like they were inside your head and they were like courtroom stenographer or whatever those people are called, and just like, and then they gave you this manuscript and they said, this is how you are. We're editing that document and being like, you know what? It's like when the phone is like, you spent 23% more time on your phone than you did last week. It's like, I don't want to know that. Don't say that to me. No, it's all about trying to be accountable for the habits and the actual divisions between our, attention and what we actually want, what we're actually trying to make possible in our lives, and how we actually spend our time, where we're pulled. So just taking that document, and there's this resistance because we are limiting ourselves in what we're actually capable of, but that's because we're trying to make these changes within our comfort zone still. So there's work being put in to not edit out parts of here's the thing. We act like certain parts of the document, the manuscript that's provided to us about ourselves, the reflection of ourselves, we act like certain parts of it aren't even valid, He's not going to edit it if he's going to say, like, that's not accurate. You're not actually identifying this sense of accountability within the ways that we do have agency. We do have control over changing certain things that we've pretended that we don't. That's what I'm getting with this. If I were to cut the deck and get a clarifier, it's the 10 of Swords. It's all about the things that we're trying to continue to drag forward. And this is a gross, sad, horrifying little analogy, but what I saw was this guy. I cut the deck. Where'd he go? Not this guy, but this guy's here too now, the Knight of Pentacles. So focusing, I'm going to pull it out so I don't forget. Focusing on that steady, progressive, modified sense of changes. He's not in a rush because he knows that the destination is one that he has to move to with, right timing. And some of that timing is divine timing. It was 4:44 when I looked at the clock. Divine timing. Knowing that his steps, his moves, his calculations each and every day, those things are enough. But what I saw with the 10 of Swords energy was this person who had all these leashes and he was walking all these dogs, but they were all dead and he was just dragging them. And like the neighborhood was like, what the fuck? Like, is he walking dead animals? Like staring, like imagine how weird that would be to see. That would be a horrifying thing to see. Now I'm like, I don't like it. I have such a sensitive, like, psyche, like constitution for graphic imagery and violence. Like I have to be really careful with that, because if I encounter it, it will haunt my brain without my consent. Like my dreams, nightmares, I'll be, full on dropped into horrible situations that I don't want to be in. So that even though it's so tame, almost cartoon like, is disturbing to me. And so I'm changing them to stuffed animals. Okay, so if you saw somebody, but that doesn't make sense, it has to be dead animals that he's walking, because what it's saying is that's how illogical we're being. These things that we're trying to still take out for a walk, they're dead. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I hope that no one's lost a pet or anything recently, and that this isn't a triggering type of metaphor. I'm sending prayers to everybody's pets, and I hope that your pets are healthy, and I hope that you're healthy. I'm just going to get one clarifier on that Ten of Swords energy. What is it? And then I'm going to conclude this, and I'm going to have actually successfully recorded a short reading. I'm going to the Apple store right now to get a new phone, because this one, you can't really tell with the cracks in the screen, but it bothers me and little chunks of glass come out, and it's just not sustainable, right? We're looking for sustainable growth, and I'm getting a new phone today. But yeah, the clarifiers for that resistance and that, continued reluctance. And it's not because we're necessarily stubborn. It's because we're not seeing that there is this way to be held in something that we haven't put our trust in before, that is a lot more faith-based, okay? Here's the well, doing a what am I trying to say? A deep dive. Doing a deep dive or a dig, being able to kind of be resourceful and go into the depths to pull something up, life-sustaining water. And I like the synergy of cards that we have here. We do have wands, we do have cups, we have pentacles, and we have swords. And I think with the Queen of Swords being the clarifier along with the well, what we're realizing is that, she's not gonna tolerate things that don't serve her. I don't see her having an issue if she were to have anything that's out of line. If somebody provided her with that document or that manuscript of like, ma'am, this is how you've been operating, and like there's little side notes, like this is what you were thinking when that person said that, this is what you were doing when that happened, the patterns, now I'm seeing it as being color coded. So it would be really easy for us if we had that little fly on the wall, and that's your higher self, right? The reason why we feel in discord or misalignment with certain things in our lives is because we do have the ability to reflect at that comprehensive level. You might say, well, no one's ever going to follow me around and type up that little document. That's what your own, inner higher self is doing. The universe, angels, guides, they all see you in complete totality because they're not of this limited vantage point. So it is possible, and it's why we have these inklings of like, this doesn't belong. This doesn't feel aligned with me. It's because it's one of the things that the universe has highlighted in red, and it's just saying, hey there, you can't pretend that's not on your document. You can't pretend that it's been working for you. You're putting in a lot of work, but you could be working smarter, not harder. You have these moments of being like, it's not working out. I don't have enough. There's a lack mentality that we're trying to completely cut away and replace with this kind of confidence that is based on a vision and a goal of sustainability, but it's also because of the emotional fulfillment. And if something dies, if a plant dies, even if a leaf on a plant dies, they say you're supposed to prune off that dead leaf because the plant will continue to try to give to it, and that's a waste of energy, instead of pruning things out. Okay, so I'm even seeing this as, again, with like the home, like objects and things, like do a big purge, free up that energy. The way that the body moves within the home dictates how your body feels in major ways that people completely underestimate. In other countries over in, Asia and other places, they take that very seriously. It's one of the reasons why Japandi or Scandinavian minimalist design is really popular, because it's function over form, but it's still highly curated to be this, beautiful earth tones, pared down aesthetic. But anyway, I pulled 3 more cards kind of absent-mindedly, and I'm going to conclude the reading after I share them. But what we have coming out again is the Ten of Cups, and that's emotional fulfillment. And I love that because the reading that I was doing yesterday was talking all about how this realignment is for an emotionally stable chapter. We like that very much. But that's why it might feel like we have to dig a little bit deeper than we have before and look out over something that, like, we weren't even facing the right direction. And sometimes I'm seeing somebody try to use a net to get a fish out of an aquarium. He kind of has to corral it into these different corners, and then finally the fish will get scooped out because there's nowhere else for it to hide. That process is what's been going on with the universe. It keeps trying to scoop us and corral us, with signs, with inner inklings and nudges. And we've been exercising our free will that's been influenced by our own programming, nature versus nurture, the conditioning that exists outside of ourselves and society today. I'm going to do a whole video on a lot of things that I'm going to try to talk about in a very roundabout way. Because again, I've said this, I don't want to get banned. I don't want to speak too explicitly about my personal beliefs about what's happening in the world today. But I've been grappling with how to share about it at all because it's important. 11:11 when I look up. It's important to share. Anyway, we are that fish who's been cornered at least into looking out over this new horizon. The universe will kind of, this is tower energy coming in, but kind of pluck us out of the things that aren't meant for us. And my dog is snoring and he's having snore dream barks. Okay, I have to show because it's too cute not to. His little tongue sticking out. You're cute. You're really cute. He woke up. I get distracted easily. Okay, so Ace of Wands with this passionate new beginning on something. And also just having the faith. I see the Ace of Wands as the universe. What I was saying before with this analogy from yesterday was if it's trying to bring you blessings, the door frame isn't big enough. Yes, it could just push through. Like with birth, right? The opening is technically not big enough, but the baby comes through because the body adjusts. The universe is kind of doing that right now. And you might say, well, why don't they just put the couch up on its side to get it through the door? We need to work with the things that we've asked for. It's like we've asked for something to be delivered, and then we're like, oh, if it's not gonna, if it's not gonna fit through the door, then there's no other way to orient it. I don't want it, blah, blah, blah. There's this disconnect around what we think we want in our lives and what we've worked for in order to get it. And then all these kind of peely off layers of illusion around the ways that we've wasted our time and energy, so it can result in self-judgment, which is that Ten of Swords, or this kind of aversion to acknowledging certain things because it feels like this wasted amount of energy, or what we've done hasn't been enough, and therefore how can it be enough going forward? There's a misconception baked into that, and I'm seeing somebody dig through a cake in order to get to the ring. I don't know what that is. Or on Mardi Gras, right? The little plastic babies inside the cake. There's something that we have to get to in its essential form, this hidden nugget of truth, within the fact that there's been no missteps. We have to be incredibly, incredibly discerning around the manuscript, the document, the account of our behavior in our lives, how we felt, what we've chosen, how we've reacted, what that's yielded, what we like about that, what we don't like about that, and then what we're going to do as a result of that. And it's a blameless process. And I see her needing to come out, right? Never forget that the Two of Cups, there is this kind of sword and caduceus in the middle, right? There's this, maybe that's not a sword, but and the snakes are the caduceus around healing, right? For me, it's reminiscent of the wand. So the faith that we're having is that we can leave it behind. You do not need to water a dead plant. You do not need to walk a dead dog. And we keep trying to do that, and it's starting to kind of invert into this foolish thing where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you feel like you've wasted your time and you've put your eggs in the wrong baskets, then that's only going to be true if you keep doing it. Because we can only realize and change our behavior when the time is right for the elements to align, for that little boop, boop, boop to open, and we're like, oh, I see it clearly. And you can use this affirmation right now. I'm using this affirmation right now. I see things clearly. In this situation, I see things clearly. I ask to continue to be shown things with clarity about myself, about my life. I want to be able to see things clearly so that I can respond to situations from a love-based place that honors the other people's parts in certain situations, keeps my throat chakra open, keeps my sacral, my solar plexus, everything just like is moving in alignment. We're at this beautiful juncture where we have the ability to see and assess. But if we say, we're not at this point going to correct these things, then it will start to kind of feel the anxiety of being the fish that's trying to get away from the net that's scooping us up. One last clarifier for that. Yeah, the Nine of Pentacles. Just keep the faith around the stability that you want to cultivate. If you don't feel it now, then imagine, good memories. Like I'm seeing, go back into your mind and think about a time where you felt stable and you were rejoicing with people that you cared about and your life was on track and things were good. And then just with the document, like if you were to kind of type that up, the details, how would you set the stage? Was it summertime? Was there sunshine? Was there music playing? How would that look on paper? Take out a couple lines, change the date, throw it 6 months into the future about what's to come and be like, and I'll be back there one day. I'll be back there soon, right? The things that I'm working on, the things that I'm going within myself to identify and then strategize about a new way to live that actually benefits me, regardless of what's happened in the past. You couldn't have seen certain things before because there are different chapters that are intrinsic and integral and necessary for our own growth. The universe doesn't judge you. It sees all people. The things that we have the most shame over, right? We push things down. We bury things. We're not willing to kind of come forth and confide in one another or therapists about the things that we've hidden from ourselves. And then we start to believe our own lies. And that can be really damaging too, because then we deny the need for help or the desire to change in totality. And that's what I've talked about in the past with stagnation being the bane of existence. You commit to your own decline when you refuse to change and grow and look at yourself. So I hope this was helpful. I can't believe I did it. I did a reading in under 20 minutes and it was fairly succinct. It was a little bit all over the place. I would say, the best thing we can do is focus on hope and take something. If you have a hard time believing that your life can take a turn, go back to a time that you enjoyed and edit the details of it and start to use it as something that you can look out to and not attach to with the type of constriction that denies the universe any ability to deliver that to you, but just hold it as something that you're moving into, like you are the bulb of a flashlight beaming out, and that wall that light is hitting off of, that's that scene, that's that memory, that's that time. And you've taken your ability to have enjoyed something so fully from the past and you've put it, your best days, you've placed them on your timeline ahead of you. And you thought that, that things were only getting worse. This is within your power to do that mental correction, make an emotional attachment to the idea of something going well, and then the energy will start to align so that things will give way in your life as long as you're receptive to that and you have the faith and the trust needed to honor the changes that are trying to happen to get you there. And I'll probably do another reading later, but happy Tuesday. Okay, surprise, surprise, I have more to add because when I open myself up to do a reading and it's a quick reading, then I go about my day, I'm still getting messages that are coming through because my readings and my formats are not meant to be quick anyway. So I just have a couple things to add. I wanted to go back to the analogy of like the birth canal and a new chapter and birthing new chapters. As I talked about in the videos from the Italy playlist, I used that analogy the entire time I was there because it felt like this cocoon phase, right? The butterfly transforming in a state of goo in order to reemerge. And now I'm thinking and talking about the new chapters, the editing of that kind of manuscript of our entire beingness. And also the idea of the universe trying to move a piece of furniture into a space where there's not enough room for it, right? The mother, just because it's the body, it's a tight fit for the birth canal, right? Everything in like the vaginal canal, all those things have to flex and expand in order to accommodate the passage of the baby. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't have to push. She does have to try to create the birth, but she also has to relax in order for it to become possible. So I'm getting this paradoxical energy where we cannot control too tightly these changes that require a lot of force out of us, and it almost creates this feeling of like unfairness that people might be feeling like you have to try really hard but you don't know how it's going to turn out. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And the other thing that I got after I stopped the other recording was biblical, actually. It's the notion of don't throw pearls to swine. And I want to be really tactful because I don't want to be like harsh. I'm not saying that the things in your life or the people in your life or the habits that's like swine. But the idea is that if you've been playing in the pig pasture for too long, you might consider yourself on a level that you can outgrow, that your soul wants you to outgrow, that maybe your subconscious is hinting at that you are ready to outgrow. It's not saying that anybody's better than anybody else, you know, it's just about what's not meant for you, what's not resonating. God bless you. Just sending a prayer out to someone. And so, you know, you could be disillusioned to the fact that you're destined for something greater, and maybe, like I talked about with veneers falling off, falling away, being able to see that and understand that more. Like you are the pearls. You have the pearls inside of you. And I also got with that like pearl necklace. This is not supposed to be an innuendo about sexual things, but the message that I'm getting, in case it's relevant to anybody, is that some of the things, like a relationship that doesn't serve you, if there's a really alluring, strong sexual connection, but it's not serving you in other ways, then it's still something that needs to go. So there's also this sense of unfairness around having to pick and choose things that might be good in many ways, but ultimately not meant for you in the long haul. Those are the types of things that we're looking at and removing as well. But I want to emphasize, like, because this is the birth part of this longer cycle that I've been going on for a while now with the birth canal analogy, the gestation period, you know, the formation of new identity, and then the pushing and the breaking of the water. I've used all of these different things to liken the energy to what we might be feeling and going through. It's like well, I completely lost my train of thought. Let me just try to wrap up the idea though. Oh, that's right. Okay, so the body is designed to give birth. The woman's body is designed to be able to handle that process. And we are also, even though it's horrifying, if a mother gives birth for the first time, it's like incredibly scary, right? You feel like you're dying or like something's going wrong almost, because it's such a rapid thing. Like all hands on deck is what I'm hearing. That means the mother's body is in overdrive. Everything within a woman will start to give to the pregnancy after she conceives, right? In order to prepare the best vessel, the best growth abilities, you know, around the fetus and sustain that pregnancy. And the same thing happens in the birthing process. Like every ounce of willpower, energy, you know, everything has to align within the body of the mother in order to make that birth happen, okay? But she has to let go at the same time and trust that her body is designed to do this. And I'm just getting that, right? Male or female, whatever you're going through, there is this kind of natural progression that's taking place. And so the reason why I wanted to come back on and add this detail is because we need to let go, but also continue to push. And it's oxymoronic and it's hard to feel into, but your intuition will be able to let you know, if you're walking that line appropriately. And I'm not saying it will feel like sunshine and rainbows. It's going to feel like, a settledness within your soul around the fact that you can actually not feel anxious even when you can't see the other side of your actions, because you're trusting enough that the place that you're coming from, if you choose to say like, maybe I don't want to partake in this dynamic anymore, maybe I don't want to, actually do what I thought I would do when I laid out this plan, it's okay to break certain arrangements at this time, and form new ones. And what I said before is like being able to conceptualize of that, even if like, there are people in a memory from the past that feels like the best days of your life or the best memories, and you're trying to reimagine that, like, how could I have it in the future? Those same people don't have to be there. you know, and even if you don't have a guest list where you can pick people out of your life as you know it today and be like, well, maybe they could come to my fun, you know, future memory. You don't even have to assign those types of people, because those are the details that the universe will gladly pick up the slack on and fill in for you. You can just say, I want it to be a, you know, a big group or a small group of intimate friends who I feel good with. You know, just cultivate the vibe within your heart and your ability to conceive of that without having to go overboard on the details, because that's when, the minute it reverses into some type of sadness or resistance where you're like still on this side of like, well, I can't have that. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't inspire this ability to be like, I can change the beam of my flashlight and shine it on something that's optimistic. The second that that tool isn't working for you, it means that you're getting in your own way around the power of your own mind to create things like it was designed. And then just lastly, with the pearls to swine thing, you have a very precious commodity within your attention. I don't care who is listening to this. Every single individual's attention and energy is a precious commodity. It's a precious commodity, and depending on the way that we form relationships throughout our lives, people can become entitled to it. And so you're just basically doing inventory and taking stock right now of who you're throwing your pearls at. Do not throw pearls to swine. It's not in the intent of insulting anybody. It's simply thinking about that precious commodity that lives within you, those pearls, and your ability to kind of be like, I'm going to take them back. You know, I'm going to go pick them out of the mud. That's my ability to do something with my life and myself and make choices and align myself with a path that, like, where do pearls belong? I don't know. In earrings, like in museums, high level advancements and situations and types of relationships and bonds and contracts that you can form, these ideas, you know, potentially creative projects. You have the ability to see the extent, the spread, the breadth of your own energetic impact within your own life, and recall certain components. I used this analogy weeks ago, this like amoeba and these little jut outs, these little outposts in the amoeba's cell wall, right? You can kind of collapse those and pull them back to you and be like, I simply don't want to give to that anymore. Or, you know, if you're not able to break certain bonds or contracts at this time, but you know that you should, that's a whole other rabbit hole to be able to go down and be like, I need to rewrite this. I need to re-author this in a way that honors me being in control of this situation. Because even in things that feel obligatory, due to whatever, you know, karmic bonds or attachments that we formed throughout our lives, you know, again, you can't simply walk away from everything. So it takes this ability to start from your own heart and sense of self, being able to protect yourself and create the boundaries that you need in order to function in a better way than you've done before, and rebuild the things that you simply, you know, can't remove from your life if that's the type of limitation that you're working with. So anyway, I hope that clears that up. I hope that's helpful. And yeah, more to come later on that. Just flowing right now, because the world has opened up and there's going to be some days that kind of feel different. It's because they are. Things are moving in a new direction. So don't be the fish that's trying to escape the net. Let the universe scoop you up and put you in the new stuff. It'll be good. Just keep the faith up.